Hey guys, Wild Man here. Um, this is my first video I've ever done. It's for this channel. It's going to be more of a vlog style for now, and because just starting out, and I've never really done this, but I'm good at ranting. Anyone who knows me knows I'm pretty good at talking. So, well, if you find that interesting on like movies, games, or anime or whatever, this is your channel, and if you'll have to settle for vlog style until I can get things situated for the foreseeable future. So now, what to talk about for my first video? Why not? Oh, Zelda, Zelda. One of my favorite games of all franchises of all time. The very first Zelda game I ever played. Oh, now that I think about it, was Link's Awakening. Yeah, Link's Awakening. Took me a minute. I'm old. Link's Awakening for the Game Boy. And if you youngsters don't know this, this was the very first handheld that actually was successful. It took 4 AA batteries, little kids. Okay, moving on. No, I have not played the remake because I don't have a Switch. But I've been hearing some people talk a little bit about comparing Ocarina to Majora's Mask. Big mistake, because the only thing they have in common is it stars the same Link. Ow. Dog. The only thing they have in common is they have the same Link. That's it. Story-wise, they're completely different. Structural, completely different. Ocarina is a much more by the books fairy tale. Hero saves the princess, beats bad guy, the land's out of darkness kind of story. Very classic fairy tale book kind of story. That may be why I like it. I don't know. But Majora's Mask, that's a much bigger can of worms. A very different can of worms anyway. It was actually the first Zelda game that I had issues with, essentially, because I went into it not knowing anything about it. The very first time I played it was a demo at Kroger's back in the day. That's a long time ago. No, not Kroger's, Kmart. Duh. That's a long time ago. And but they're very different story-wise, like I said. Like for instance, everyone knows that uh, uh that let me get my thoughts together. I'm sorry. I apologize. Again, it's my very first time on. I'm sorry. No. Majora's Mask is a much darker game, at least in undertones and story and hints thereof. Like what was that? I can't remember the ranch girls' names, but essentially milk is alcohol in that game, like anyone knows. But it's hinted at that the older sister is going to give her younger sister the strongest milk they have, because on the last day when the moon hits, so she won't know what's happening when they die. Yeah, that's pretty dark, Nintendo. Where like Ocarina, love it or hate it, part of the love has to come from when you played it back in the day. Otherwise, you won't get it. Because you'll see the visuals, they are dated. It's a 20-year-old game. I was 10. It's a 20-year-old game. So, yeah, the visuals are dated. The story is pretty typical. And if you hadn't played it growing up, and you go back and play it, you are going to be like, well, what's the big deal? Put your mindset back in that day. What did it come out? 1998? Yeah. Yeah. It was it, 3D games were just becoming were just emerging and actually doing well. Is coming off the tail of Mario 64. Ocarina of Time was a game that could have very easily been a bust, and it wasn't. It's the imagine booting up your N64 for the first time, playing Ocarina, and seeing that just immersive world in there, and so you can imagine. Like I grew up in a time. I know I'm very ADD. I grew up in a weird area where I both had the Nintendo at my aunt's house, and the Super Nintendo at my house. So I grew up playing both generations at the same time. Okay, now if if you will imagine playing Link to the Past, and your little mind was blown. If that blew your mind, Ocarina nuked it just from visuals alone. Okay, so it is very much the first and only game I ever had this sense of awe and wonder about. Just this sense of uh, um, uh, mystery, like and enchantment, I guess. And like I'll give you a good example. In the Kokiri Forest at night or in the day, you'll see these little trails of light, little balls of light going or like that, but they're connected, so it's like a little thing. But you go up, get too close to them, and they'll scatter. Like the segments will scatter and just go off in the distance. We've never seen anything like that before at that time. It's one of those things where, like, as a kid playing it for the first time, that's where that like gotcha kind of thing is going to come from. Like it's either going to drag you, it's either going to pull you in further, or you're going to be like, it's just a game. Okay, fine, but I grew up playing Zelda, so no. So that's where a lot of these people that try to go back and play it for the first time ever and say, it's a good game, but I don't get what the big deal is. That's where you're missing out. You didn't play it growing up. Okay. Now with Majora's Mask, it's a very interesting game because it's essentially a Groundhog Day meets Zelda. That's essentially what it is. Look me in the eye and tell me I'm wrong. You can't. No, but it's my everyone loves the 3D mechanic, and I don't. I don't. I think I think it works, but the biggest problem I have with that game is the save system because it worked drastically different from Ocarina. And I loved Ocarina. You could just save it and turn it off and go about your day and come back and pick it up where you left off. Not with Majora's Mask, and it took me forever to figure that out too. I kid you not. I kid you not. It so I specifically remember getting that for my Majora's Mask for a birthday one year, and me and a few buddies were sitting down and playing with it, and after a while, I'm just sitting there playing it, and one of my buddies just reading my manga, and then the other one's playing my handheld. So it's like I was like, and they were like, after a while, they just were like, what else is in here? You know, I think I actually have pictures of it now that I think about it. From a that's called a photograph. But again, whatever. They're fun games. They really are. No, the one like this. I hate Breath of the Wild. I hate it. I hate it. And I know you're all gonna boombox me and be like, "How dare you blasphemer, hypocrite!" I will save that for another video because I could go on for hours about that. But I'll touch on it. Okay, I'll touch on it. For one, I know change is inevitable. I know that. That's progression. But it changed so much that it was almost unrecognizable. It was almost unrecognizable as a Zelda game. To me. To me. Okay? I liked getting around and exploring and all that, but there's no incentive to actually go do the story. And I'm like, I could be playing Grand Theft Auto right now and be doing the same thing. Because no one cares about the stories in Grand Theft Auto at all. And if you do, you're a liar. You play Grand Theft Auto you go and play Grand Theft Auto thinking you're Fast and the Furious. That is what that is. That doesn't really belong in a Zelda game. And people are going to be like, well, it's not because you're not doing that. No, but there's no real incentive to go out and do the story because in previous Zelda games, the world opened up to you as you got new items and as you progressed through the story. So the more the story you did, the more actual you could explore along the way. I thought it was kind of cool. This, no, you can just go do whatever you want, wherever you want it, whenever you want it. Which is fine. Kinda. But whoever thought that breakable weapons, to begin with, in video games, was a good idea, I'd love to punch them in the face. And whoever thought that belonged in a Zelda game, I really want to sock them. And then, like, okay, well, let's dissect this a little bit. Okay, I can kind of see a little bit why. Okay, well, these, like, they're like, well, get this weapon or get that weapon. You only have so many times you can use it before it breaks. So go get more weapons and all that. But lo and behold, you get the Master Sword. You won't have to do that unless it's an electric weapon that is effective against such and such enemy. Okay, fine. But they screwed it up because the Master Sword, the Sword of Evil's Bane, that if you have a shred of darkness inside you, you physically cannot touch it. The Master Sword. Okay. You can use it until it has to recharge and you have to hold on for a little bit. It's the Master Sword, the iconic weapon of the entire franchise. How do you screw that up? Okay. It's the Master Sword. They dedicated an entire game to the origin of the Master Sword, which that game was garbage anyway, but the point is, it's a divine weapon in the game. How do you mess that up to where, like, oh, well, it's just, you used it, it has to recharge. Never before, and it better not be ever again. Anyway, I get a little, you can see I'm very passionate about this franchise. And then half the unlockables you had to have amiibos to get in the first place. So you had to go and get extra extra stuff to get things in the game that should have already been in there, or at the very most been add-ons like from PlayStation style. Who thought this was a good idea? That's like buying a book, if anyone knows what that is anymore, and realizing that key parts of the story isn't available to you in the actual physical book unless you go buy this little packet right here and that little packet over there and then add it in. That's essentially what that is. Doesn't seem right, does it? Okay. see. And like I said, I was going to touch on it. I'm trying to only touch on it, but I get very revved up if you can't tell already. That's good. That's good. That's good. But let's see. I've always been a Zelda fan, and I would like to think I always will. But with the way the franchise is going right now, the only thing that'll make me buy a Switch or the next Nintendo console is if they make an Ocarina of Time uh uh HD remake, and it better be from the ground up, okay? Because it better not just be a port from the DS. That's not gonna fly. And if that happens, I will cause riots in the streets and lead the charge. There's one other thing that I would do that to, but I'll talk about that in another video. But it's very frustrating because I love this series. I love the first one. I even love the second one, which nobody likes except Dan Avidan from Game Grumps. I like that game. I really do. My only issue, and I applaud that dude with how hard that game is, and he rocked it. That's actually my only complaint with that game is the difficulty. But that was part of the point back in those days was you wanted they had so much space for a game, so in order to make it worth it, they had to have a lot of more difficulty. Okay, fine, that's fine. And it's only the second game in the franchise. They were treading the water, seeing what works and what didn't work. Then they went to the Zelda 3, or more commonly known as the actual name, Link to the Past. That's a fun game. That's a good game, man. I like that game. Then my personal favorite, and not just of the franchise, but of in games period, is Ocarina. Then to the actual first game that I actually kind of had issues with, Majora's Mask. Again, a good game if you're playing the Nintendo 64. Don't get the 3DS version because it may look pretty, but they screwed up the bosses because I kid you not, the creators actually came out and said, we added eyeballs to all the bosses because we forgot how you were supposed to defeat them. Go on YouTube. You can figure it out. Then, see what, then, oh, everyone's gonna hate me for this, but I actually didn't like, okay, I say I didn't like, but I didn't like Wind Waker, alright? Alright? I didn't like Wind Waker. And before you shoot me down, I will very adamantly admit it's a good game. It's a very good game. I just didn't like the fact that it had the Zelda title to it. That's my personal issue with it. And I can't really, okay, imagine you're seeing the footage that they're saying that this is like what the new Zelda game could look like. And I will admit, they said could. They didn't say this is what it's going to be, which a friend gets on to me about that all the time. They didn't say that's what it was going to be. Then don't show us that kind of footage. Show us something that could that's more open to oh, well, that could look cool. Like, it's a Zelda game. It's different, but it's still a Zelda game. Or that's not like Link from Ocarina, but it's definitely Link. Okay, fine. Don't show us GameCube graphic Link sword fighting Ganondorf. Okay? And then give us a cartoon chibi of Link. That's my personal grudge with it. And I'll admit, it may be a little petty, but that's my reason. No, I'll very much admit, it's a very fun game. Actually, the only question I have about the game that no one really seems to think about or can answer is, okay, The world is flooded. It's become water world. There's only mountains, peaks that have turned into islands. Okay. Why did the Zoras turn into fish to bird people to fly around when the Zoras were already fish to begin with? They would be the dominant race of the planet at that point. You, you, really? Okay. And then they turned the Kokiri, the lost kids, the the kids that never grow up and stay kids forever, and then are immortal into actual plant tree people, literally. Those were my favorite race of the whole entire franchise, and I get they're contained to that story, but it was still freaking awesome, and I wanted to know more about them. Okay, fine. Now we get to Twilight Princess, which I like Twilight Princess. I think it got a little. It tried too hard to be dark and edgy, but I kid you not. The first trailer I saw for it when they first announced it, I thought Link was going to turn into a werewolf. All I saw was the head transforming. I didn't see the body, but I was like, Link's going to be a werewolf in this? And then I played it. I was like, oh. But it was still a good game. Minda's absolutely my favorite. I think she's everyone's favorite. And I liked Navi. Of course, I thought Navi was very cool. It was a very cool interpretation of what a fairy would look like. She had no personality. That didn't come until Tattle. But still, it was a cool design. And that added to that sense of that and like seeing that little ball of light with wings fly around, that just to me as a kid, a 10-year-old kid, just added to the sense of awe and wonder about the game. Like, wow, like you should have seen me playing this game. I was like playing it, like I was a kid. Anyway, my only gripes about Twilight Princess is the tutorial is way too long. And then there's busy work in between actual levels. Like the Tears of Light, you have to do that like what, 3-4 times? And then the last time you actually have to fight the huge bug. But it's padding at its worst. Okay? It's padding at its worst. And I don't like that. But like really like it's almost a direct sequel to Ocarina almost. Uh, uh, People are gonna say, well, you could also say that about Wind Waker. Yeah, you can, but it felt more like references and like kind of in Wind Waker. In Twilight Princess, you were kind of putting it together as you went along with things they said here and there and like different characters here and there. They even have Link from Ocarina and Majora in it as the Shade, to which everyone asks, why didn't he have outfits that we could recognize him as Link? I don't think they ever answered. I don't think Nintendo even knows. But it's a nice reference. It's a very nice. I appreciated it because I liked it. I think they should have made him resemble Link more to the point where like I think they should have made Shade look like Link enough to where we could kind of connect. Like, is that supposed to be Link at a different Link or something? And then realize later on, oh, it's from Ocarina Link or Majora's Link kind of thing. I think that's what they should have done, but they didn't do it. They just gave him armor. Why, I don't know. But no one likes Skyward Sword. No one likes Skyward Sword. I pre-ordered Skyward Sword, and I had to wait like almost a whole year or more until it came out. And all I got as a sorry for waiting so long was the soundtrack and a special controller. Yay! I had to wait. I had to pay like $50 and wait a whole year and for a crappy game, and all I get is a special controller and a soundtrack to the game. Which, by the way, the soundtrack's pretty good. So, but no. I didn't like the visuals in Skyward Sword either. And Fee, don't even get me started on Fee. People want to gripe about Navi. Fee takes the cake and makes Navi look like Tattle in comparison. Don't get me started. And really, like, I know this was kind of intentional, but Fi, whatever, Fee, Fi, Fo, Fum, whatever, she talked like no other character in the franchise. She talked like a computer or an AI, which I get that's essentially what she was supposed to be, but it was very whiplash. Like, I would, like, every time she would go on screen and talk, I would be like, that. And when she was talking, so it was just whiplash, man. It's like, I almost wanted Link to be like, what are you talking about? You know? And then I realized, like, she's supposed to essentially, like, get more human-ish in terms of emotion and how she talked, but I don't care. Oh, let's see. I guess I'll close this up because this video has been pretty disjointed and jumpy and ADD-y. But I've always been a Zelda fan. I will always be a Zelda fan. But right now, the prodigal son needs to return. If because Zelda has become very much not what it's supposed to be. And it was a very slow decline. Uh, I miss what Zelda used to be. I I'm Zelda used to be about exploration, story, and the world opening up as you went along, using the items that you get and learning how they operate in that dungeon and what else you can use them for outside a dungeon. It's not anymore. And again, I'll make my own another vlog about Breath of the Wild in itself. That way I can go into more detail, I suppose. I don't want to, but I will. Because there's a good game in there. It's just, and maybe it's because I'm ADD and a bit autistic, but there's too much in there, and there's too much in there that's too different. And that just like, why did you do this instead of something else? And I'm open to an open world Zelda game. It's not that, but I think they could have done a lot better, and I think I think it's very overhyped and very overrated. I think it's okay. I don't think it's great. It's not bad. I will tell you this: Breath of the Wild is not bad. It's not, but it's not the phenomenon that everyone says it is. And I don't care. And like, you will not find a bigger Zelda fan than me. The only one that you can make an argument is Peanut Butter Gamer. And I don't care because I'm bigger than him. No, physically, I'm bigger than him. I can whoop him if I needed to. But I think it would be one of those things where like, yeah! Okay, I think we've solved our differences. Let's work together now. You know, that kind of thing. I love that dude. He's awesome. But he may have the stuff, the merchandise of Zelda. He may have know-how of Zelda, but he don't have the heart. And I hope he responds to this. This would be so funny. That'd be so funny. I think that. That'd be so funny if he did. Like, hey, I tell you that. No, I'm kidding. I'm a good sport. I think he's a good sport too. So. I'm not one of those guys where like, oh, I hate everything, like how it got to be with this the running joke of Spoonie. But it's one of those things where like, if I don't like it, I have my reasons, and I will give you and I will tell you why I don't like it or why I do like it. I will never tell you. I will never tell you without having actual reasons, whether you agree with those reasons or not, or whether you think they're good reasons or not. That's your choice and your opinion. But I will always give you a reason of yay or nay. So I thank y'all for joining me in my first video, and I apologize for the quality and for the uh jumping around. It is my first video, and I apologize for it just being a vlog. I do like vlogs. I don't want to just do vlogs, but again, I don't really have the know-how or the technical means yet. So I ask if you enjoyed this, fine. Thank you. If you don't, that doesn't bother me. If that's your choice, okay, fine. Again, I just want to do this to have some fun and entertain people. If y'all are entertained, that's all I need. And before I go, if y'all ever want to watch me on Twitch, I'm at Wildman Fanboy on Twitch, and right now I'm playing through Legends of Cold Steel. No, Legendary Heroes of Legend Trails of Cold Steel 1. And I found out there was 3 of them, so I figured, hey, I might as well redo the first one. And then I find out they're releasing a 4th in the fall. And then I find out, oh, the first game's like 100 hours, and they get significantly longer from there. So you can imagine, I was like, uh-oh. But you know what? I'm sticking through. So if y'all want to join me for some hilarity, JRPG fun, more power to you guys. Love y'all. Bye.